Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. How's everybody doing tonight? Uh, I hope my transmission is going good. I got a uh, weak signal or buffering or since last night, and I'm hoping it's stable enough. And everybody would tell me how things are going. I would appreciate it. Um, but we're going to talk about a lot of things tonight. You know, my mother had a saying. My grandmother had a saying, and my dad used to quote it all the time. She said, "It's a great life if you don't weaken." So that's what she would say whenever things were going crazy or there was problems or something going on. She'd say, "It's a great life if you don't weaken." She had other sayings too, and some of them I got to kind of figure out if it's appropriate too. She was uh, pretty outspoken, so not too easy with the words. So anyway, but that was one of them. Don't weaken. So I got in my thumbnail there a symbol we're all familiar with, and it's something that's coming out to be more and more people are starting to realize, hey, this is real. This type of thing, that symbol and other symbols symbolizing one thing. When you boil it all down, when all the fluff and puff and this and that gets boiled off and it just comes right down to it, there's good and there's evil, right? So um, we know there's a lot of nuances in between, but right now we're looking at stark choices. So let me see who all's coming in. Hi, John and Zoe, Mary, how you doing? Roberto, of course, Nikki's in here, and Dory. They're waiting on Mountain Man while I'm here. Ha ha ha! And El Griswold, how you doing? Joan, let's see, Camperman. So everybody's rolling in. That's good. If I say somebody twice or miss somebody once, give me a break. And thank you for telling me I look younger than I sound. That's all. That's always nice from the other night. Uh, Hi, Em. How are you doing? Let's see. I'm just scrolling through. Doc Honeycutt, how are you? Maggie Lass. Nice name. Nice to meet you. Everybody's got nice names, but I see something like that and Cosette and oh, it's Cosette. I better not talk about somebody when they're not around. But anyway, hi, John. How are you? Quilt, Stacy, TJ Katz. We got Sherry Tackett, B Dog, Outlandish Patriot, Linda, Georgia. How are you doing, Georgia? Jamie, Robin, how are you? Hello, Mr. Kibler. How are you doing? Kicking Bird. Everybody's showing up. Shadow Dancer. Oh man, these chats they jump when people come piling in. Piling in. How many saw Mr. T today? Well, another question and answer. Another question and answer. And nobody asked the question. Nobody asked the question. We were told that the question might have to be forced, but it will be asked and it will be answered. Okay, so we got something to look at there. Jamie, Diamond Lil, how are you doing? So sometimes we get more than one. Somebody with the same name, and my it depends on how many cylinders are firing in my cranium. Hebrew Hammer, how you doing? So yeah, haven't seen you in a while, there, Hammer. So I remember you being in the chats a long time ago. Of course, I've been doing my other show since I got taken down. And if anybody's left me comments on the other channel, I'll try to answer them. Somebody said, "Where you been? What's wrong with your show?" Well, somebody thinks something's wrong with it. That's why I got a week off. So I'm going to do another broadcast on Sunday. Is the way it's looking, folks. But I tell you, how many of you saw Tucker Carlson? He was given an interview and he kind of took it over. And I thought it was much more recent, but it was apparently before he got the red letter. You know, they say red letter day to leave Fox News. And I was really like, wow, he's saying the same things I'm talking about. Because many of you who have been watching my channel, as you know, this is on loan pretty much from Nikki B. But on my channel, I had one particular show. Now, I've mentioned this situation in the past, but one particular show I discussed the Aztecs and Montezuma and descriptive letters that were being sent home by the conquistadors, the clergy that accompanied the conquistadors to the Amazon or to where were they? Over in Brazil, Mesoamerica is what they called it. And Cortez's men were sending letters home, and they were discussing their shock at what was happening as far as human. I'll break the word up in two pieces. Sac is one, and Raphice is the other. So Tucker Carlson alluded to that in his interview. And I was like, oh boy, we're certainly on the same page. And that society, and as Tucker said, is not just Mesoamerica. And I said that in my broadcast when I went into more detail about the conquistadors and Montezuma. But pretty much all civilizations at different times and eras were practicing CHILD. A lot of people say, I can't understand what you're saying. Well, it's like, spell, okay? Spell. Or put two syllables together if I put a word in between, because there's nothing I can do about it. People say, oh, you shouldn't go to just speak. You're an American. You could speak what you want. Yeah, well, not here. And I can go over to the other platform with my 8 or 10 viewers and sit around. Okay, and I'm not doing that. I'm going where I can reach the most people. So in the past, well, like Tucker said, every civilization has experienced where people fall into that. And I was really kind of feeling proud because the same parallels were drawn that I drew last month, discussing how societies can fall into a non-theological, delusional belief system that is in conflict with the Word of God. And reality is very clear. The attraction between a man and a woman, people have experienced when they get hit by the thunderbolt, so to speak. They look in somebody's eyes and go, oh my, there they are. That's the person of my dreams. This powerful drive to procreate, to carry on, and to have a legacy. And the greatest power. And a lot of people allude to, don't mess with a mama bear. Don't mess with a mother and her cubs. It is one of the most powerful instincts that there can ever be. It is to keep us going. And what do we see now? This unusual aberration in Western society. I won't say Western culture. They're trying to bring it in and make it part of the culture, infiltrating the culture. And a lot of people are seeing it and tying it into, as Tucker did, with Satan. Now, I hope that wasn't too complicated code language for people to understand, where they get frustrated and say, I'm not going to watch. But I say that, and hey, I got a target, right? I'm a target. I proved that. This is my second time sitting on the bench. So anyway, let me see what people got to say. Yep, Shadow Dancer, been around since the Bible. It's kind of gruesome. And I'll tell you something else. If people, because I did get a little hint that there might have been some people getting a little offended because I focused on the Aztecs and, as Tucker said, Mesoamerica. Well, if you get a chance, look up the history. This is a very historic event. 9 years. Okay, we have AD, which is after death, the traditional way of marking time. BC is before Christ, right? Now they say BCE, before the Common Era. They don't want to mention Christ, these pseudoscientists and historians. But anyway, in 9 AD, the Battle of Teutoburg Forest. Some people pronounce it differently. I believe it's spelled Teutonberg. You know how a lot of names from that area of the world end in berg. So it was Teutoburg Forest. There was a huge battle. And a famous saying, if you want a quick way to look it up, just remember to type in, where are my legions? Where are my legions? And that was by Caesar at the time, who sent his army, his legions, out over the Rhine River into Germanic territory. And they were a great mass of, I don't know how many. They had what are called standards, which were eagles and flags. They each battalion or legion carried their own standard. And they marched, and they were going to go straighten out those Germanic tribes. Well, they got into a narrow area, and it turned into a guerrilla warfare type of style battle, and they all got wiped out. And a few survivors were sold into slavery. And from that time on, it was said that they would no longer, that was when the first time the term Germanic came into the lexicon as far as describing people east of, northeast of the Roman Empire. So the reason I'm bringing this up is historians had, at the time, had documented, and in other sojourns into that area, there were other battles and things in the future. But a lot of villagers were interviewed and captured soldiers were interviewed as to what happened during that famous battle. And a lot of information came out, a lot of letters were written. And one of the things they pointed out that there was a paganistic, they called it a paganistic vein running through there. Not every member of the Germanic tribes, but there were certain tribes that did practice what I just talked about, sack, and then the other word is refice. And they did talk about how the person's permission had to be given who was going to be, I'll say, offered up, which was captured Roman soldiers. And so it's not just Mesoamerica, as we know in Babylon and the Canaanites, and on it goes. There was that practice of human sacrifice. So, but for a mainstream person like Tucker Carlson to bring it up in the context of what we are facing, and some of the words used, some of the practices that are ongoing, like at Planned, and the other word is Parenthood, he made equivalent to this human sacrifice. And he said that this Western culture is careening towards, that's my word, careening, but he said it is going in a bent that is demonic. And that's the thread I was going over about a month ago. It might have been the video got me taken down last time. I don't remember, because prior to that, I was taken down a half a dozen times before my other channel got completely wiped out. So hence my caution, especially since Nikki is gracious enough to let me reach out to you all on this platform, okay, this channel. I appreciate it. So anyway, we're getting that into the mainstream discussion. Let's see. Mountain Man, ad means Anno Domini Nostri Jesus Christ, which translates into the year of Lord Jesus Christ. Yeah. That would, okay. The year of our Lord, that's right. So anyway, he did also allude, and I talked a little bit about it because I don't like taking any particular faith or any group and dump anything on top of their head. When I hear people talk about, like, for instance, the Jewish people as being behind all the financial stuff, or the Roman Catholics, which I am, by the way, you know, a lot of people knock on the Pope, and I've got my questions about the Pope, the current Pope, and I've stood up for Pope Benedict and Pope John Paul, you know, who are very strong and very in tune with, I feel, Christian principles. So he did bring up that I brought up briefly, but gently, his faith, his church, which was Episcopalian. And he himself said that it was barely a theology or something akin to that. It was barely within the church's teachings. And I never said anything that strong. But he is a member of that church, been there ever since he was born. So that's his freedom to say such things. But I I took a little bit umbrage with people I've talked to in the past about that faith. They said we call ourselves whiskey palians because we, march a little bit to a different drummer, or then you have this situation with gay bishops being married and being ordained as bishops and things like that, which cause a schism in the Episcopalian Church. So there are challenges and struggles that Tucker alluded to as far as the church he ascribes to. So I found that interview very encouraging as I was discussing the same things. And it's not like I got any intuition or any connection with anybody other than my observations, my taking my precious time and cogitating on current events, my observations of people's behavior, and meshing them together with what we've been told. It has been what has been described to us as God's love letter to humankind, which is the Bible. And I hear a lot of people say, "Well, we have to question this. We have to think about this. We have to take a look at that." Well, there is, for a thoughtful person, a lifetime of cogitation in that book. And when I say that book in the future, you know what I mean. As my father said, everything that has ever happened and everything that ever will happen is in that book. And I hear people talk about things outside of that. I hear people being afraid of events, possible past events, alleged events, and they get themselves in what I'll, for lack of a better term, a tizzy. Whether it's a slow moving, gradual, eternal tizzy or a blow up tizzy. It's somewhere, that's where they're constantly, subconsciously, consciously in a tizzy. Why? Because many times they're looking at things other than what we've been told to look at, and living their lives in a way other than what we've been told is the way to live our lives. So one of the first punishments, I think, is psychological distress. How can you be happy if you're psychologically distressed? So the way that we've been taught and the way that we've gone to Sunday school, when you look back, I had a framed copy of the Ten Commandments that came out of a magazine from 1910, just before World War I. And it showed a little drawing of current life with the for each commandment. And you saw a police officer with the kind of tall hats they used to wear, holding a nightstick behind his back and looking down at a little boy, and the little boy's got little lines on his face like he's red-faced, and it says, "Thou shalt not steal." It was a charming little early 1900s depiction of the Ten Commandments. I believe it was for it. I can't remember the magazine, but it was a magazine popular back in the day that people bought. When you think of the way our lives were from that point on, because many of us had grandparents that were alive back then, our parents growing up later in the century, and our lives, we didn't worry about this stuff that is being worried about now. And where did it all start? And I've said it, I've gone to it 100 times. When Eve was alone, serpent had his chance. No interference, nobody to interrupt and correct, contradict. He had her all to himself. And I call it the serpent's whisper. Well, what have we been going through? What is this plastic thing I'm holding in my hand? I'm just as guilty as anybody else. And the thing we're holding, everybody is holding in their hands. That always has access to you if you want it, when nobody's around. And what comes through it and gets put in your brain. And then you start worrying. You start thinking, oh my goodness, could this really be the way? Are there aliens coming? Or whatever the concern is. And I have taken it upon myself to promise myself that I'm going to use this device to make sure I get things that I need to get through the day, communicate to people that are important to me, and to try to keep up with world events so I can do what I said earlier. Cogitate on what's going on, take my observations as to what's going on, and compare it to the way we've been instructed to live our lives and what has happened in history under similar circumstances. Nobody's going to introduce some kind of new ideology, some new batch of fears, point to a new path for me to walk down. None of that stuff. And I don't care if it's a mystery voice, article that's been written by AI that pops up that tries to get my attention. Did you hear about the person, I believe it was in Canada, that AI, the article said, convinced this person to end his own life to stop global warming? How many of you all have heard that? So, for me, if I were alone in a room and somebody made the situation as such that I had to listen to this business that this person was subjected to about the debate over climate change, there would have been a computer or some matter of device laying out the grass, okay, and probably the screen in the window with it, because I would have just thrown it out if it was there and I couldn't. They said you got to listen to this. I would not have listened to it, and I would still be walking around. And 10, 20 years from now, or however long God lets me live, the temperatures are still going to be the same way they are. And I get to walk around this big old world. So things can bother you, especially in American culture, as insulated as we are from all the worries and miseries that happen in other countries. The majority of countries around the world, they literally, and I know that term gets abused, especially by the left, but they literally have to wonder when missiles are going to hit their town. They literally have to wonder what is going to go in my belly tomorrow. Now, we're far from that. And of course, when you have many things at your fingertips that other people don't have, like food, the ability to go in your car and go wherever you want, pick up the phone, talk to whoever you want, vent your feelings. When you have all that and you don't have to scrounge around for food, you don't have to check every corner of your property or your door locks to make sure you're safe. You got a lot of time on your hands. How are you going to spend that time? And I mean, it's not like I dreamt up this business about the Aztecs and comparing it to what's going on now. And somehow Tucker had the same class, or had the same dream. Is from thinking and applying and looking at your own thoughts, your own theology, your own faith, your own beliefs, comparing it to what your collective group of others, namely your church, how they are responding, and compare it to history, compare it to the Bible. That takes time, that takes effort, that takes cogitation. It's called theology, a theology. And if you let things enter your mind that are adverse to what we traditionally call theological issues, you're causing yourself undue distress, and you're losing your focus. And that's another thing that was in the last drops that we had, was 2 times. Regular letters and capital letters. Focus. Okay? So we're going to focus on good and we're going to focus on evil. And we're going to be able to look at something and not judge. We're going to be able to recognize. We don't judge, we recognize. So when someone is trying to sell me a bill of goods, and forewarned is forearmed, okay? If you know that there is a serpent out there waiting to get your ear, waiting to get you when you're by yourself, you're vulnerable, you don't have anybody to say, wait a minute, that's not true. All you hear is the serpent. You want to be in position where you have learned enough and know enough what is a bunch of garbage and what is real. So I think that, like Mr. T said about Tucker, that he's probably, this is not a quote, it's something similar. He's probably relieved to have been released, okay, cut loose. Because a person like him is going to cogitate, and he's going to get information quicker than we do. He's a newsman. He's got a lot more contacts, and he is also a serious person. So the times that he was not able to say things on that network that he really wanted to say, that he went home and he talked to his wife. He laid in bed thinking. He laid in bed cogitating. He cracked open that book and he thought about what's happening today, what's happening in his life, what is in store for his children and his children's children. And he came up with many of the things we've been discussing. that societies can fall into madness, can fall into madness. And as Pope John Paul called it, a culture of death, a culture of death. When you call the ABORT word healthcare, there's something wrong. And so, yeah, I think he's been released. I think he's going to be able to say a lot of things. I think he's an interesting speaker and a huge reach. And let's see where it takes him. Or let's see where it takes us. Now, in one of my earlier thumbnails, I said Kennedy activated. I think we've got Bongino activated. I think we got Tucker activated. I think we got Kennedy activated. So let's see. We're going into a period of time where we say, oh, we've got people like AOC going, deplatforming works. Look how we got Tucker off of Fox News. Ha, ha, ha. Well, she's so unconnected, okay, with what's going on. It reminds me of, and people overuse it, but when Obi-Wan Kenobi said, if you strike me down, I'll be more powerful than you could ever imagine. And Tucker Carlson, Dan Bongino, Kennedy, they think they're going to muffle their voices. But that little scene from Star Wars comes to mind, and also the Streisand effect. When you try to get people not to look at something or not to do something, the Streisand effect is that you compound the problem. So these are all basic psychological operations, as we say, but this is an information dissemination operation, okay? So if you heard Mr. T tonight, the people ask questions. And I always said, well, first time he did it, I said, man, I hope somebody asked him about the word, are you that letter? Or who is that letter? And so he did it tonight, and nobody did that. Did you all notice that, or were you looking for that when he turned it over to open questions? And other than that, let's see, I'm going to comments. If I drop off, I'll come back in since I got a stable stream. I want to know what, that question aside, folks, and if, you haven't got one, no big deal with it. If you had the opportunity to be in our audience and you knew you were going to be on television, so that means you got to be realistic. People were going to see your face, know who you were, and they pass the microphone to you. What question would you have asked Mr. T today? And I give a couple minutes in chats. I'm just curious. Not the question about the 17th letter. I've already been over that. I know a lot of us would have wished I would have wished someone would have asked him. This might not be the time, though. But what question would you want to ask? And Nikki, if you're out there, if you could come on board and kind of check the chats and maybe talk about what question you want answered. Are you out there? Oh,
I'm here.
okay.
I'll help
Let's see
you.
what questions people might have had for Mr. T.
Okay, Jack says, I would have asked, who is the lawful president? Mary Freeland says, where did the whistleblower go that had the info on Puddin' Pop? That's all I see so far. Are you there? Mountain Man never invite me on board. Jax, we're on my channel. That's why I'm here. We're not on Mountain Man's channel, Jax. We're on mine. Jax asked if she would ask, is JFK Jr. alive? Hebrew Hammer would ask, I would ask Mr. T, when will you put Putin and BB together to fight the evil? Oh, okay, Jax. I didn't know. I got Mountain Man's thumbnail on there, so I wasn't sure. When are you going to end this charade? Fess up from Robert Clymer. When will justice be served? From
That
Linda.
would have been a tough crowd for Mr. T, wouldn't it?
You were muted, Mountain Man. Did you know that?
Oh, well, I'm back now.
Did you hear everything I was saying?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's all that matters. When is T going to get the job done from Camperman? How much longer before full disclosure from Jax?
D-class. Is that what you mean? D-class, Jax? Let me take a look at some of these questions because I want to address like the let's see, when will the justice be served to the you know who's?
Diamond Will says
we're going that way.
Diamond Will says she would ask
Frontier VFX, you can't put that symbolism in there. You can't.
I got rid of it.
WWG, and then you know the rest.
I already got rid of it, Mountain Man.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm sorry, it didn't go off my screen.
No, well, it won't on StreamYard, but it's off the YouTube side.
Now, see, Robert. Robert says, when are you going to end the charade? Fess up. That's no way to talk to a former president. And that's a little too direct, Robert. See, we know it's a movie. We know this is a teaching thing going on. You don't want to jump up there and spoil it, plus be rude to the president, Robert, do you? So let's see. I would ask Mr. T when we get Putin and BB together to fight the evil inclination worldwide. That'd be an interesting question. And now somebody said, let me see. Oh, where did the whistleblower go that had information on Pudding Pop? Jack said, who's the lawful president? Kathy, you can't get up there and say that to the president of the United States. When will this crap end? Huh? So anyway, yeah, I guess everybody heard about the whistleblower. Nikki sent me a copy of that article. But wait, I can't find it. But somebody said something about JFK Jr.
That's what they would ask if he was alive.
Yeah, I let me tell you all a little something about that. That is such a touchy. I might do a show just on that whenever Rumble gets things where you can reasonably stream. I gotta lay off the hooch. What are you talking about? Anyway, as far as JFK Jr. goes, I see what you're saying, Jax. He's alive. You've seen him. It's either him or someone looks. Now, the business of him being undercover. Why is that? Why has he been, according to a lot of people, he's been living a hidden life, and that the whole thing was a setup so him and his family could go. I probably need some hooch for this cough. Anyway. Okay, so but that's the main gist is Junior went into undercover because the Hillary gang wanted him out of here. Robert, you got to use a one when you use that word KIL. Jiminy crickets. I swear, well, let's get off this discussion because it's going to get problems, and people can't use a number for a letter with keywords. It just can't do it. Anyway, how long have we been going?
We have been going for 47 minutes.
Okay. One point is if they were doing it for his safety, why is everybody running around trying to blow his cover? I'm hiding because I'm in danger. Oh, good. Let me run around and tell everybody where you are and where I've seen you. Okay, so that's one point for the Junior crowd. Why would you want to blow his cover? Why would you move heaven and earth to out him? And the 17th letter was asked one time. That very question, is JFK alive? And one word, two letters, N-O, and that was it. Then everybody jumps to, oh, this information is necessary. Why? Why is this information necessary? Because we got to keep him safe. Okay, then why do people insist on trying to out him? Are they helping? Are they helping to prove that he's still around so they can turn up the heat and hunt him down? Boy, that's nice.
Hey, Reba.
So anyway, all right. Well, it's interesting questions, and some of them, frankly, I'm glad people weren't there because I don't want Mr. T being disparaged or this operation to be thrown on the mat. Because you don't want to make out the people that are conducting this information dissemination operation to be liars or scammers. That's not what it is. This has got to be something that's got to be gently brought out, like we've said in the past. You can't make people swallow a cinder block of information. It has to be a pill. It's easy to swallow. That's why a lot of it is going to be never disclosed. They said, I said 80% in the past, but I was reading a CUE post and they said 60%. Okay. That'll never be disclosed because it's horrible. It's like I've talked about in the past uh, about a government agent that was uh, tortured and stuff back in the 80s. Certain things you don't talk about, like what was his name? Fish. I put up the thumbnail about the video that was put out about him back in the 1930s. There were elements of the trial and testimony that only the judge knew. The jury didn't even hear it. It's just too horrible. So, and it's nothing to do with surreal things or paranormal things. It's just the fact that human beings can be very cruel. So, he kind of looks like 107 if Junior was fat and 65 years old. Okay. Well, yeah, I will do a broadcast about that. I know a little something about airplanes and JFK's licensing, his classes, what happened. So we might do a show on that. I'm just curious what people would have asked Mr. T. And he said again tonight that, or today, that he made a promise that he's the only candidate that will prevent World War III. And the reason I'm bringing that up, I'm not trying to build hopium, but he said that the only way he could prevent it was if he were president. But he also said it's coming very soon. So I don't know how much of that is to make the opponent, I'll say opponent, nervous, or to let us know that help is on the way before the election. Now, this Kennedy business is very interesting, and of course it ties into this business with Junior, and it ties into his father, who was assassinated. And let's see, Clandestine put something out about that, where this is really a genius move because he will get people to listen to him about realities that we've known for years. Things that they have been saying were conspiracies. They will be hearing from or not JFK, but from Kennedy that nobody on the Democrat side will say. But people will listen. And it's going to magnify the discussions about what our country's been through. Anything from the poke in the arm to what's going on with their young people. The kind of operations that they're performing on young people, the type of education they're giving, drilling into people's heads, young people's heads, about a lifestyle that for thousands of years would have been ridiculed and rejected. Even during the days of Sodom and Gomorrah, they did not advocate for changing who they were born as. So this is a totally novel approach by Lucifer, and we're going to have discussions about that because of JFK, and we're going to be able, RFK, and we're going to be able to talk to our friends and family who otherwise wouldn't talk to us about these issues because they're going to want to know if what he's saying is true. Now, they're trying to prevent debates from happening, and I don't know if there's going to be another Democrat candidate besides Kennedy and Biden. But if that were to happen, that would be great. And the Patriots might get another Democrat to jump in so those two can debate whether Biden likes it or not. It will get coverage because, for crying out loud, he's a Kennedy. So anything to get the word out, right? Just seeing what's going on in the chats. Okay, well, Robin Williams is alive too. Well, I'll tell you what. How about Elvis? Well, what's his name? Mike Penny said Elvis was still a hunk of burning love.
I don't think that's what we need to focus on anyway.
You said the key word there, Nikki. Focus. Focus, because you get these distractions. You'll get things tossed out there. And I'm not nothing about the current conversation, but I'm saying a strategy I've addressed it in the past is they will take something fantastic, throw it in the mix of truth, but when you repeat it, you don't realize it, but you sound unbelievable and non-credible. That is a strategy to dilute the truth.
Your words are so important.
Yeah, I mean, if people spend their time talking about, well, I have to say it. A lot of stuff that's going. Who cares if Robin Williams is alive? We're looking at World War III. It's like I told a friend a long time ago. Imagine yourself in the bottom of a boat with 1,000 others sitting on a bench, pulling on oars with chains around your ankles. You've seen that in the movies, right? And the guy walking down the middle of the aisle, whipping everybody in the back, and you're rowing that boat bareback, getting whipped with chains on, 1,000 of you down in the bottom of the boat rowing. And some guy leans next to you and says, Elvis is alive. Who cares if you're a slave on a slave ship? I'm talking about our civilization, our way of life. That's what's in the balance right now. Why waste your time? If he's alive, having an umbrella drink somewhere, great. I could care less. We've got tens of thousands of young people who are on the brink, if they have not already, destroying their lives and becoming confused, angry, miserable human beings with no way out if the surgeon's knife finds them, or if they take one too many hormone injection. Their lives are ruined. That's what I care about. I don't care about Elvis. I don't care about Robin Williams. Why even get into that? But that's the kind of stuff they throw out there for people to talk about. So you lose what? Your focus. So anyway, we're up to an hour. I'm going to be up again if I don't get hit between the eyes. The last video I did was 6 weeks old. 6 weeks old. And I during that time I was doing my marathon. I probably did, oh gosh, 5, 10, probably 30 videos had gone by, and then boom, I get an email at 4 o'clock in the morning that I'm gone for a week. So I don't know. I'll be up Sunday night, I think. If I'm off, I'm not going to impose on Nikki or put her in a situation where, you know, I want her subscribers to be happy. I don't want her channel to be in trouble. And the things we touch on, I mean, it's not hard to think of creative ways to say words that you should know are going to attract attention and cause problems. So please think about that in the future. And I'm going to go ahead and sign out. I just want to see if anybody's got any questions. I mean, we had a lot of news stories. I take screenshots, and I could talk about Ron DeSantis running, but we can save that for later. And DJT, Mr. T, did say that it is not too late to make America great again. And what we're going to call Joe is Crooked Joe, right? Crooked Joe. And I put an answer in to a Mr. T's truth. I said, old Crooked Joe. Ha ha ha. That's what I'm going to call him. Old Crooked Joe. So, yeah, op-ed. That's what you sent me, Nick. A whistleblower gets Biden family corruption arrested, and then he disappeared. So people want to know what's going on with that.
Well, yeah. There's no coincidences, that's for sure.
And you got Jim Justice down in West by God, Virginia, is going to be challenging Joe Manchin. And Jim Justice is he would have been a Reagan Democrat. He would have been a Reagan Democrat. Manchin is just riding the fence. But I will close out with this one article, folks. All the stuff we're talking about, and Jax, I wasn't picking on you. You're millions of people are talking about who's still alive and all that kind of stuff. The Charlie Ward stuff, the other stuff, people I've talked about. I'm not saying things are not true. That's what's being said. I'm saying we got bigger fish to fry. And we don't want people to tune us out because we're talking about such things. When you have an article like this from the Daily Mail, record 1 in 4 high school students say they are gay, bisexual, or, quote, questioning their S3 sexuality. Official CDC data shows. Double the amount in 2015. Okay.
They're a mess.
25% of the future of this country, okay, are going down the road to Sodom and Gomorrah.
We have to help that generation, Mountain Man.
Well, talking about stuff that is not germane and can be construed as fantasy and not to be taken seriously, get that out of the mix.
Yep.
And like I said, your precious time. Research that stuff. You get down to the end of it, you say, Robin Williams is alive. Isn't that great? What if you took every minute, every hour that you spent trying to find out, trying to prove it, trying to do this, trying to do that. Say it makes a week of your life. Was that worth your precious time? Because I guarantee if Robin Williams is alive, he's got millions of dollars. He's got silk sheets, silk toilet paper. Everything's fine in his life. Was that worth your precious time? So we'll leave it at that, folks. And I will try to be up on my channel. And then Nikki, I don't know if you have my link handy.
I sure do. I'll get that right now.
For anybody that may not be subscribed, my views, there's roughly 30% of the people are not subscribed. And, just go ahead and do it because it helps get the word out.
Yep, there you go. If you're not subscribed to Mountain Man, go subscribe.
Yeah, and if you're somebody who watches all the time, but for some reason doesn't want to subscribe, and make sure you guys hit the thumbs up tonight, folks. Thank you, Nikki. I appreciate you putting that link in there.
Of course. You know what, I'm going to drop diamonds real quick, too. I said I'm going to drop diamonds real quick, too, if you guys go over to Diamond Lils in the morning and for some fellowship. She does a great job. She prays without ceasing every day.
Yep. So they say they're going to release the manifesto.
I seen that.
Did you hear that, Nikki?
I did.
Yeah. So that came out today. We'll see if that's been doctored or if it is something the American people around the world need to hear what is being taught, what is being preached. Hey, if you have a classroom and you're going into this ideological thing, you are not teaching, you are preaching. So this person may be writing down what has been the preaching of this kind of group. And hopefully we'll be seeing that soon. So anyway, I appreciate you all spending your precious time with me tonight. And I appreciate Nikki for letting me come on her channel during my expulsion. So anyway, I look forward to seeing you all. I'm planning on Sunday on Mountain Man 2. And you all be there or be square. And whatever time I can get up there, I get up there. Do my best. But if you hit the notification bell, you will know when I go live. So you got anything you want to ask, Nikki, or any questions or anything?
No, I think I'm good, man.
Okay, everybody okay in the chats, I hope. If I missed any names, I appreciate it.
Looks like everybody's good. They're all saying good night. So
I appreciate it. Good night from around the world. Who's that? Somebody, the chats are jumping around. Somebody thank me very much, and I appreciate it. Appreciate all y'all. So y'all have a great night, and I'll be seeing you Sunday. And Nikki, thank you again, and y'all have a great evening. This is Mountain Man, over and out.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for coming. You guys all go and have a blessed night.